Good evening and welcome to our Year 9 Options evening. My name is Alan Blackburn and I'm the head teacher of Uffculme School. And we're really pleased that you're able to join us this evening. For many of our students, Year 9 is the first opportunity for them to begin having a say in their education, making decisions around which subjects they wish to study and pursue for the future. And we want to do everything we can this evening to help prepare you so that you can support them through that decision-making process. This is because we recognise that these choices will have an important implication for them as they go forward into the future, both for the next stages of their education and later for employment. So we want to make sure that you have the best possible information and support to help them make those wise decisions. To help me in this process, I have two colleagues joining me this evening. Chris Lepper, Deputy Head Teacher for the school, who's responsible for the options process and the timetabling of the various subjects. I'm also joined by Dave Burt, Head of Year 9, who many of you will already know. Together this evening, they will tell you about the process and then give you some advice and guidance about how you might go about making choices about the subjects which your child wished to study at Key Stage 4. We've also interviewed a couple of students that have been through the options process to share their experiences and what helped them in making their choices. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Chris Lepper now.
Okay, hopefully during this talk I'm going to explain nice and clearly about the options process and how it should work for families and students in Year 9. The starting point is to discuss the compulsory subjects in Year 10 and 11. The compulsory subjects are much as you would expect, so they are English literature and English language. At Uffculme we have a pattern where most students take their English literature through Year 10 and then they sit the GCSE exam in the summer of their Year 10. And then when they move into Year 11, they take the GCSE English language, study it throughout Year 11, and then sit the exam in the summer of Year 11. Maths is a 2-year course. Science is also compulsory, but there is a choice to be made, which is between combined science and the separate sciences. RE is compulsory and students in the current Year 9 have already started the RE GCSE exam course and they will do the exam for that in Year 10. Over the years we've found that this pattern of taking English literature and RE early during Year 10 works and produces a set of successful results for the young person. Instead of trying to juggle 10 or 11 GCSEs in Year 11, it means that that number is reduced and focused down into 9 subjects. It also creates some private study time in Year 11, which by that age students are mature enough to use wisely to support their learning in everything else. The other compulsory subject is PE, which is 2 hours a week and not examined. Okay, moving on to the options subjects. Most students need to choose 4 subjects from 19 possibilities. Each of those subjects will then have 2 hours taught time per week. The first choice is a guided choice, and then there are 3 free choices. With the guided option, students must choose one of the following subjects. So they must choose one from French, German, geography or history. This is to ensure that all students have a balance to the choices that they make. It is possible to choose more than one of those subjects. So for instance, a student might want to take French and geography, or German, geography and history. So there's no limit to the number of subjects from the guided option that a student could take, but they must choose at least one. Moving on to some of the subjects which might require a little bit more explanation. Science, to start with, is one of the really big decisions for a student and their family to take. There's choices between taking combined science, which is 4 hours teaching per week, or whether to study the 3 separate sciences. If a young person studies the 3 separate sciences, they'll do a separate GCSE in biology, in chemistry and in physics. It's compulsory to take all 3 of those subjects. The reason this decision is important is if any young person is likely to go on and study A-level science, most colleges are now saying it's essential to have studied separate sciences. So, if you want to choose separate science, you must use it as one of your 4 options choices. ICT is no longer compulsory in year 10 and 11. It's a choice if a student wishes to go down that road. With the choice, there's a split between BTEC ICT or GCSE computer science. The BTEC in ICT is really about the use of existing programs and applications, whereas the computer science is actually computer programming. Normally, it's best to choose one of the 2 ICT qualifications if a young person is interested. Occasionally, there can be good reasons for choosing both. There are a number of new subjects which are available for a student as they move into year 10 and year 11. It's particularly important to research into these subjects, and there are now a series of videos which you can watch from the specialist teacher about those subjects to guide and inform your decision. This brings us on to just drawing a distinction between subjects which are available at GCSE or Technical Award. It's really good advice for a student to go carefully into the difference between the 2 courses so that if they wish to do any of those subjects, they opt for the correct one. The biggest difference between the GCSE and the Technical Award is the amount of practical content. The Technical Awards all come with 70% practical content and 30% examined, whereas the GCSE courses, the balance tends to be more in favour of examinations. Although coursework has gone from most GCSE subjects, it does remain important, particularly with the Technical Awards. The Technical Awards, 70% of the course will be continual assessment. Some of the GCSEs also still have coursework in, and they're the subjects that you might expect, like music and art, drama, and so on. There is more information available in each of the subject videos about the course content and breakdown. We hope that there is lots of advice and support available for students and their families as they go through the options process. Useful sources of information. The brochure really contains everything you would need to make the choices, and also the subject videos. If any family has a dilemma about options and which subjects might make the best choices, we do have a facility available for options interviews. With the options brochure, which should have arrived with your family this week, there is a letter. The back page of the letter allows you to make an appointment for an interview. This year, the interviews will either be by phone or through a Teams discussion. If you would like to have one of the options interviews, please email me direct. Once a student has decided and settled on the 4 choices that they want to make, please fill in the back page of the brochure, sign the form, and then return it to the student's tutor. All of this needs to be done, if possible, by the Friday the 17th of March.
Hello Year 9, welcome to the options process. The first thing that I want to tell you about is not to panic. Okay, I'm aware that there's a lot of information that you'll have seen this evening, but it's really important that you realise that you've got a wealth of experience around you who will be able to help you make the options and make sure that you take the best path to making these choices a success. I am guessing that at the moment you fall into one of 3 camps. Either Camp 1, that you know exactly what you want to do later on. Camp 2, you have a vague idea of what subjects you'd like to take but no formal plan. Or Camp 3, where you have no idea whatsoever what it is that you'd like to study. For Camp 1 and 2, that's fairly straightforward in the idea that I would always suggest starting the process at the end. Look at where it is that you'd like to get to, then have a look at things like entry requirements for college courses, have a look back, and then try and take steps backward to working out what you need at this point, and then try and fit your option subjects into choices that will then make that possible. If you fall into Camp 3 and you're not sure what it is that you'd like to do, don't panic. There are lots of people around you who'd be willing to help. Ask questions of your siblings, ask questions of your friends in older year groups, ask questions of your teachers, your parents, lots of people who'll be there willing to give advice and tell you about the subjects and their experience of the options process when they had to go through it. It's always important, if you are not sure what you'd like to do, that you give yourself lots of options when it comes to applying for college courses. Colleges will be looking for the fact that you have a breadth of subject areas. They'll be looking to see that you've got a flexibility in your learning styles and something that you can bring to the table and offer them when it comes to applying for them later on down the line. A few do's and don'ts about the options process. I would strongly advise having an honest analysis of your strengths and weaknesses. It's important that you have an idea of the things that you're really good at, but also the areas where you could really do with some hard work to address any issues that you've had in those subjects. It's important that you can utilise this knowledge to help you make informed decisions about what comes next. Secondly, it's important to think about what a subject entails, whether it's something where there's an awful lot of coursework, whether it's purely examined at the end, or if there's a practical element to the subject. It's important that you think about what your working habits are and what the strengths and weaknesses you have there as well, because what you don't want is if you're somebody who has historically struggled with homework to then be lumbered with a huge amount of coursework that you can't keep up with. So it's important that you try and take bits from everywhere and put them together to make sure that you've got a balanced approach to studying your options. Thirdly, it's important that you pick subjects that you would like to pick and don't just go for ones that your friends would like to do. You're the person that has to sit in those lessons for 2 years, and it's really important on that front that you pick subjects that you have a genuine interest and get genuine enjoyment from. And lastly, and closely linked to not picking the same things as your friends, it's important that you pick things that you enjoy. It's really difficult sometimes during GCSE and the workload can get quite insurmountable at times or feel insurmountable at times. It's important that you have the things that you're interested in and that you enjoy to motivate you through those difficult times. It's important that you do that rather than just picking courses that you've heard are easy from friends. And the last thing that I'd like to say to you, Year 9, is good luck.
Hi, my name's Makan and I'm in Year 10.
Hello, my name's Katie and I'm a Year 11 student. Totally, like there's a few subjects that I was in a bit of a predicament about which one to choose, and I just went up to teachers and asked them about it. They're really helpful, like they filled in like any details, they went through like what the course would be like and what the expectations would be from going from Year 9 to Year 10 and 11 studying the GCSE stuff.
What I wanted to do, I wanted to like pick as broadly as I can, so then when you go to college there's you've got a wide range of things you can pick in case you just didn't like one thing. You've got maybe 3 or 4 other things you can do, so it just makes it easier for you.
Yeah, well, I'm not 100% sure about what I want to do long term, so for me it was quite a hard decision to make because there's lots of subjects I really wanted to do and none of them really specifically at this point led to like a clear path in the future. So yeah, I had lots of things I wanted to do, but I think just go with what you enjoy mainly.
I don't know, just make sure you're 100% sure like what you're going to do, and if you're not fully sure, just speak to someone about it, because it's better to speak to someone about it, because rather than doing it for 2 years and you can't pull out of it.
So I did separate science, PE, drama and history. I've got quite a nice contrast in what I chose. So they're all subjects I really enjoyed and I'm really passionate about. And I really enjoy my timetable. As I said, it's got a good variety. And I went with subjects that I enjoyed. So most days I come to school really motivated and looking forward to what the day has in store.
Yeah, because you if you do 2 and you sort of know what to expect, how everything's going to be set out, so it prepares you a bit.
Totally, it's given me the confidence that I need in order, to feel a lot more confident to do the rest of my GCSEs. I got quite a good grade in RE, and it's just to have one under your belt that you've already done, that's secured, which I think is a really, really good feeling, and especially if you have put all the hard work into it. And although we didn't actually sit the exams, all the revision and all the work we put in for the mocks, to think that that has paid off and we have got a GCSE already is quite a nice feeling.
Yeah, I think it will just give us less things to worry about next year, because obviously next year is going to be a bit clustered because we miss so much. So yeah, it's good.
Probably a little bit more about the workload. To step up from Year 9 to your GCSE years, and just about the pressure and the extracurricular, going home, going back over the topics, and just consolidating your knowledge and all the extra work you'd have to put in. But yeah.
At some of them, you need to look at the amount of coursework compared to the exams, because sometimes you'll have a lot of coursework and littler exams, but then also you can have a lot less coursework but mainly rely on exams, so you've got to remember quite a few things, so you just got to be wary.
So at the beginning I was I wonder what my friends are doing, I want to be with my friends, but at the end of the day you're still going to the same school, and just much rather do what you enjoy rather do what your friends do, because you're each your individual person, and what you enjoy and what you want to do, it might be completely different to what your friends are doing. So definitely do what you want to do, and not what other people want to do. So. To know that, not to stress about it too much, as long as you put the work in, you are going to get there, not really to compare yourself too much to others and what other people are doing, just to focus on yourself and your grades, and just focus on what you're doing and not what other people are.
Just watch all the videos, because if you don't watch it, you don't know what it's going to be about, so you might have you don't think you're going to like it, and then watch the video and you do.
As I said before, definitely do stuff you enjoy, and also have in mind what you choose for GCSE doesn't write down your pathway of what you're going to do in the future. Looking towards A-levels, just because you didn't do that specific GCSE doesn't mean you're not going to be able to do that A-level. Your options are still open, and yeah, just do what you enjoy, because you'll be motivated to come to school, you'll enjoy those subjects, and that's going to increase your work effort, make you work a lot harder, and just have a really good time in school.
Well, I hope that you found this evening helpful in understanding the options process, and also that you've picked up some useful hints and tips on the way in which you might go about deciding on your preferred choices. We're going to do everything we can to help your child get the choices they want as they move forward into Key Stage 4. But unfortunately, that isn't always possible, as we've explained. However, I want to assure you that if for any reason a student can't have a particular choice that they've selected, we will come back to you and in discussion with them and you help to identify a suitable alternative. Secondly, I just want to emphasise the date for your child to return back their options form. This is on the screen now. We have to have the form returned back to us by then so it can be included in the process. And if you need an interview to help your child make their decisions, please return back the request form as soon as possible so we can arrange an early meeting and provide that additional bit of information and advice that you might need. It just remains for me to say thank you for joining us this evening. I really encourage you to go and make the most of the subject videos which have been prepared by each of our heads of department or subject leaders, so you get as much information about the courses and the opportunities they offer, so you have all the information to make your decisions. Thank you again for joining us. Good night.